The gate clanged shut with a metallic screech, the sound slicing through the humid Texas air like a knife. Dust swirled around Caleb's boots as he stared at the padlock glinting under the midday sun, his weathered hands tightening into fists. 82 years he'd walked this earth, 50 of them on this ranch. And now some pencil-pushing HOA suit thought they could lock him out of his own land. His chest heaved, the ache in his ribs not just from age, but from the sheer audacity of it all. The letter from the HOA, crumpled in his back pocket, had arrived yesterday, smugly informing him his access road violated their community standards. Standards? My ass, he thought, spitting into the dirt. This wasn't their manicured cul-de-sac. This was his family's legacy, a sprawling 200 acres of rolling hills, wildflowers, and memories of his late wife, Ellie, laughing under the oak trees. Caleb's eyes, sharp despite the wrinkles framing them, scanned the horizon. The HOA's new development, Sunset Pines, gleamed in the distance rows of cookie-cutter houses with fake shutters and pristine lawns. They'd built their precious gated community right up against his property line, and now they wanted to control the only road leading to his ranch. His road. The one his daddy carved out with a mule and a plow in '49. The one where Ellie taught their kids to ride bikes, her laughter echoing through the cedar trees. The one Caleb walked every evening, the crunch of gravel underfoot a hymn to his past. And now, Karen Whitaker, the HOA president with her bleached smile and clipboard tyranny, had slapped a lock on it, claiming it was community property. Caleb's blood boiled, his breath coming in short, angry bursts. He wasn't just locked out, was erased. The air smelled of sun-baked earth and betrayal. Caleb turned back to his old Chevy truck, its paint chipped, but its engine still loyal. He climbed in, the leather seat creaking under his weight, and slammed the door. The radio crackled, some country song about lost love, but he snapped it off. Silence suited his mood better. He drove the long way around a town, the detour adding 30 minutes through winding back roads, each bump jarring his bones and his pride. In town, he stopped at Rusty's Diner, where the coffee was strong and the gossip stronger. The bell above the door jingled as he stepped inside, the scent of frying bacon and burnt toast wrapping around him like an old friend. Karen Whitaker's at it again, Caleb muttered to Rusty, the diner's owner, as he slid onto a stool at the counter. Rusty, a burly man with a beard like steel wool, poured Caleb a mug of black coffee, steam curling up like a ghost. Heard she's got the whole HOA board eating out of her hand, Rusty said, shaking his head. Says your road's a safety hazard. Can you believe that? A hazard? Caleb's jaw tightened, the coffee burning his tongue as he took a sip. She's got no right, he growled. That road's been mine since before she was born. That's when she walked in. Karen. Her heels clicked on the linoleum, sharp and deliberate, like a predator stalking prey. Her blonde hair was pulled into a tight bun, her lips painted a shade of red that screamed, I'm in charge. She carried a stack of flyers, no doubt some new HOA edict about mailbox colors or approved flower beds. The diner went quiet, forks pausing midair, as she spotted Caleb and made a beeline for him. Mr. Hargrove, she said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. I hope you got our letter. We're just trying to keep the community safe. Caleb's eyes narrowed, his fingers gripping the mug so hard his knuckles whitened. Safe, he spat. You locked me out of my own damn land. Lady. Karen's smile didn't waver, but her eyes glinted with something cold. It's not your land anymore, Mr. Hargrove. The access road belongs to Sunset Pines now. You'll need to find another way. Caleb's heart pounded, a drumbeat of rage and grief. He thought of Ellie, her soft hands planting wildflowers along that road, her voice singing hymns as the sun set. He thought of his grandkids, who'd never know the freedom of running through those fields if Karen had her way. You don't get to decide that, he said, his voice low. Dangerous. Karen raised an eyebrow, unfazed. Take it up with the board, she said, turning on her heel and strutting out, leaving a cloud of floral perfume and indignation in her wake. Caleb sat there, the diner's hum resuming around him, clinking plates. murmured conversations, the sizzle of grease on the grill. But inside, a storm was brewing. He wasn't some pushover retiree. He'd fought in Vietnam, rebuilt this ranch after a fire in '83, buried Ellie after cancer took her too soon. He'd be damned if he let Karen Whitaker steal his legacy. That's when the idea hit him, sharp and bright as a lightning bolt. If they wanted to play dirty, he'd play dirtier. The next morning, Caleb called his old buddy Hank, a retired contractor with a penchant for bending rules. Hank showed up at the ranch by noon, his pickup loaded with tools and a mischievous grin. "You sure about this, old man?" Hank asked, chewing on a toothpick. Caleb nodded, his eyes glinting with defiance. "They want a gate. I'll give him a gate." Over the next 2 days, they worked under the blistering sun, sweat soaking their shirts, the buzz of cicadas filling the air. They built a tall Buthro-hewn but sturdy right at the edge of Caleb's property, where the access road met the HOA's precious pavement. It wasn't pretty, but it was legal. Caleb had checked the deeds, called in a favor with a lawyer friend. That road was his, no matter what Karen's fancy surveys claimed. The booth was a masterpiece of petty revenge. A wooden arm blocked the road, painted red for maximum annoyance. A sign, hand-painted in bold black letters. Read, "Toll Road, $50 per day, cash only." Caleb sat in the booth on the first morning, a thermos of coffee at his side, the scent of pine and diesel in the air. He didn't have to wait long. At 7:03 a.m., Karen's sleek white SUV rolled up, her face visible through the windshield, already twisted in outrage. She slammed her door and marched over, her heels sinking into the gravel. "What the hell is this, Hargrove?" she demanded, jabbing a manicured finger at the sign. Caleb leaned back in his folding chair, tipping his cowboy hat. "This here's my road. MS. Whitaker. You want to use it to get to your fancy houses. That'll be $50 per day, per vehicle." Karen's face turned a shade of red that rivaled her lipstick. "This is extortion," she shrieked. "I'll have you arrested." Caleb shrugged, sipping his coffee. "Go right ahead. Sheriff's a friend of mine. He knows whose land this is." Karen stormed off, her phone already to her ear, no doubt calling her lawyer or the HOA board or God himself. Word spread like wildfire. By noon, a line of Sunset Pines residents stretched down the road, some furious, some amused. A young couple, new to the neighborhood, paid the toll with a sheepish smile, their toddler waving from the back seat. An older man, fed up with Karen's rules, slipped Caleb an extra 20 and whispered, "Give him hell." Caleb's heart swelled, not just with victory, but with purpose. This wasn't just about him anymore. It was about every little guy crushed under the boot of bureaucracy. Then came the twist. A kid, no older than 16, rolled up on a bike, his face pale and sweaty. "Mr. Hargrove," he said, voice shaking. "My mom's in labor. Ambulance can't get through the detour, it's too far. Please, let us through." Caleb's stomach dropped. He hadn't thought of emergencies, of real people caught in his war with Karen. He waved the kid through, no charge, and radioed the sheriff to escort the ambulance. That night, alone in his ranch house, the creak of the floorboards and the distant howl of a coyote his only company, Caleb wrestled with doubt. Was he becoming the monster he despised? He sighed, rubbing his eyes, the weight of Ellie's absence heavier than ever. The showdown came a week later. Karen, backed by a lawyer in a cheap suit and a crowd of HOA loyalists, confronted Caleb at the toll booth. "This ends now," she said, thrusting a cease and desist letter at him. The air was thick with tension, the crowd's murmurs like a gathering storm. Caleb stood his ground, his voice steady but laced with years of pain. "You took my road, my memories, my home," he said. "You don't get to take my fight." The lawyer blustered, but Caleb's lawyer friend had already filed an injunction. The deeds were clear, the road was his. In a final act of defiance, Caleb raised the toll to $100. The HOA caved. They couldn't afford the legal battle, not when residents started threatening to sue them for blocking access. Karen's reign crumbled, her flyers littering the ground like fallen leaves. The gate came down, and Caleb's road was his again. He stood there as the sun set, the sky ablaze with pinks and oranges, the scent of wildflowers faint but unmistakable. He thought of Ellie, of the life they'd built, and whispered, "We did it, darlin'." The toll booth stayed, a monument to justice, a reminder that sometimes the little guy wins not with fists, but with heart.